you guys. All right, all right, all right. It's your girl Jade, a premium source of inspiration. And today we're going to talk about my birth story. Now, this is a special birth story right here because my second son, Zachariah, was born on the 15th, April 15th. And Zachariah just so happened to be a 10-pound baby. And I had no idea what I was in for. You know, I didn't know what to expect. So I gotta tell you guys about this one. Let me just sit back, relax, and get ready for this story. Okay, so let me start from the beginning because the whole entire pregnancy with Zachariah, I had no morning sickness. I had no pains or anything. Like, it was easy breezy. Like, the baby was just growing. I'm just perfectly happy. You know, everything was just so smooth. Towards the end, my feet did start to swell up a little bit, like to the point where the right foot was bigger than my left foot. So I couldn't fit shoes on my right foot. That's like the only problem that I had. And I really could fit the shoe if I squished my foot in there. But it was just, that was the only problem that I can literally say for this pregnancy. Nothing else was wrong. Now, throughout the whole pregnancy, obviously, I had been eating good. Like, I'm primarily vegetarian. I don't like to be put in categories, so I just tell people I'm a healthy person because it's just too many categories out there. And I honestly, I like to eat certain meats. Like, I like to eat lamb. I like to eat salmon. But the difference is, like, I don't buy these things and cook them at home. If I decide to eat meat, I might be out at a restaurant or I might order something. But at home, it's only veggies. So the whole pregnancy, I'm like eating salads and I'm eating a lot of different good stuff. Macaroni and cheese, veggie lasagna. The list goes on and on. Like, I love making stuff from scratch. So I know Zachariah was eating good in my belly. I was making my own bread from scratch, making my own cookies and everything. Like, I was eating good. And let me see, besides from what I was eating, I had been preparing. Like, I tried to do the okra water, but I tried it early on in my pregnancy. Now, the okra water, I couldn't wrap my mind around drinking it. Like, I made it, and then I put a little cinnamon in there, put a little lemon juice in there, blended it up and everything to the point where it tasted like a juice. But I just couldn't continue to drink it. I couldn't. So I didn't do too much okra water. I probably did it twice. And then I was like, I just can't do this no more. So that had to go. I definitely was doing the dates though. I was doing the dates in smoothies whenever I had a smoothie. I had made the homemade Snicker bars using dates. I made them two different types of ways. I made them with the whole date, and then you put peanut butter and the chocolate and all of that stuff inside it. And then I also made it the alternative way when you make the caramel sauce from the dates. So you soften them up with the hot water, you blend it in the food processor, and then you have the caramel sauce made from the dates, and then you make it to look like an actual Snickers bar. Cooking is a whole nother video. I could talk about cooking all day, so let me stay focused. Yeah, so I was doing the dates, eating plenty of dates. I was drinking the raspberry tea. Been drinking the raspberry tea since the beginning of the pregnancy, so I've been doing it, okay? The doctors had told me that I was anemic. So I started taking the molasses in my tea, a spoonful of molasses in my tea every day. So I was doing all these things to make sure that the baby was healthy, that the pregnancy would be easy. As far as pushing and everything, I thought it would be easy. But when the day came, you guys, pushing was no joke. So let's fast forward to the day of, okay? So Zachariah was, I want to say, 4 or 5 days overdue. 5 days overdue, because he was supposed to come on the 10th. That's what they said. Estimated due date was April 10th. He came on the 15th. So the morning of the 15th, I woke up at literally 4 something in the morning, probably 4:44, something like that. So no, it was 4:14 in the morning. Yeah, that's what it was. It was 4:14 a.m. Because I remember looking at my phone, and I'm like, my stomach don't feel well. Now, mind you, my mom and my sister wanted to come down for the pregnancy. For the birth. And I planned on having him at Atlanta Birth Center. Everything was already set up. So if I felt any pain, since I hadn't been feeling any pain the whole pregnancy, the first bit of pain I had felt the night before. And it was just an uncomfortable feeling, like something was burrowing down deep inside my pelvis. And I was like, this kind of feels uncomfortable. And this was the night before, on the 14th. So I text my sister. I said, this feels really uncomfortable. I kind of think I feel the baby like burrowing down. I never felt this before. She was like, okay, that's good. That means that the raspberry leaf tea has been working. So I wanted to keep them updated just in case, so they could catch the first plane down here and be on time for when the baby was supposed to come. So when I woke up at 4:14 in the morning, and I felt these minor contractions, I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel something. I feel, I know that these are contractions, but they're doable. They're not painful. They're doable. So I got up. I didn't want to wake anybody up. I didn't want to alarm anybody, because I knew that, this wasn't labor. It was just some minor contractions. I did text my sister. I tried to call her, but I'm like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. She's probably asleep. And she didn't answer the phone. She did not. So I got up and I started sweeping and mopping the house, doing the dishes, because the night before I had cooked a lot the day before, and the night before, all those dishes were still in the sink, and I usually don't leave the dishes in the sink, but I had been so tired that I didn't feel like washing the dishes, so I left them in the sink. And I said, I'll wash them in the morning. It gives me something to do, because I had been so anxious waiting for the baby to come. I was looking for things to keep me occupied during the day, because all I could think about was, when is this baby going to come? What's taking so long? Why aren't you ready? I've been doing everything that I can. I've been walking around. I've been doing squats. I had took my son to the zoo, walked around the zoo for hours. So anyway, that day I woke up, started sweeping and mopping, washed all the dishes. I think I washed a load of clothes, just trying to get everything together, because I knew the baby was going to be here on the 15th, because I knew the contractions. I could feel them. So fast forward to like 8 o'clock in the morning, after my other son, Zoar, had already woke up. He ate breakfast, he helping me out cleaning and stuff. So I'm like, ooh, these contractions, they starting to feel a little more unbearable. It's not like, it wasn't that bad yet. But I'm like, maybe I should say something now, because these are starting to be just a little painful. So I go and tap my husband to wake him up. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling these contractions. And he was like, oh. So he got up. He was like, what you want to do? You want to sit here and wait, or you want to go to the birth center? And I'm like, I think we should go to the birth center. I had already called the midwives and told them what was going on, because one thing that I kept in my mind is, if it's people start laboring at home, right, until they're dilated up to a certain point, and then they go to the birth center. So me, I'm just figuring like, oh, you know, these contractions, they're a little painful, but they're not that bad. Maybe it's not time for me to go to the birth center yet. But since the pain was starting to get a little more sharp, I'm like, okay, I think I should go. You know, worst thing they can do is look at me and then send me home. So we pack up the car, drop my son to his grandma's house that's down here. And we went to the birth center, because the birth center is literally 5 minutes from grandma's house. They hooked me up to the machines when I get to the birth center, just to check my blood pressure and everything, see how far I've been dilated. They told me I was already 5 to 6 centimeters or dilated, or inches, or how, I don't know how they measure it. I can't remember if they measured it in meters, inches, or centimeters. But I was 5 to 6, I think, inches or whatever, dilated already. And I'm like, oh wow, this is like really starting. Like, this is for real. And so we go into the room that they had prepared for me. I chose the water room. And inside the birth center, they have, inside the room that was prepared, they have a queen size bed. It's really nice. They got the birthing pool in there. They got the shower if you want to be in the shower. They got everything you need. The lights are nice and dim. You know, they got some little, twinkling lights that's on. They look like little Christmas lights, but they just on the wall. They got the essential oils. You can choose your own essential oil, put it in the diffuser. They got a speaker so you can play your own music. So the whole vibe is set. I get in there. I think the first thing I did was lay in the bed, because that's all I could do at the moment. It was the most comfortable. So I'm just working my way through these contractions. I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling these. So the whole process, it wasn't that bad to begin with, but once it got more intense, I tried squeezing the comb in my hand. That did not help me with the contractions. I wasn't crying or anything, but I was like, Lord, please, please. My contractions was like 5 minutes apart, and when I did get them, it was one long, strong, intense contraction, and then like 2 minutes later, it was a shorter contraction that was quick, but it was still intense. So I'm like, every 5 minutes, that one long, strong one, and then a minute or two later, the short one that's really intense. And I'm just like, oh, Lord. And then it was like almost a relaxing break. So in between the 5 minutes, a relaxing break. So yeah, I believe I was in labor, I want to say, for 14 hours, because my baby was born at 5:57 p.m. and I started feeling the contractions at 4:14 in the morning. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then the other 5. So yeah, it's about 14 hours. So anyway, I want to say they told me, because it was, the midwife was there, and I believe the nurse, and then it was one nurse that was like practicing, like she was about to be hired, so she was just kind of watching, but they would let her help in certain circumstances. So they could hear the difference when I started like pushing a certain type of way, when the contractions were like really bad, and I went from regular like and then I started like really grunting, and it was like that grunt sounds different. So they told me I started actually pushing around 3 p.m. So from 3 p.m. to 5:57 p.m. I was pushing, trying to get my baby out. Mind you, a 10-pound baby. They had been telling me the entire pregnancy when I was coming into my appointments that the baby is growing right on schedule. Everything is fine. But after he came out and they measured him and they realized he was 10 pounds, 3.6 ounces, they was like, he's above just whatever. He's above the weight. He's bigger than normal. And I'm like, yeah, I couldn't get him out. Like literally, my husband said when I would push and then I would take a breath in before I pushed again, that they could see him coming out. But when I took that breath in, he would go back in. It was crazy. I was pushing in the pool. The midwife had to tell me, listen, we've been in the pool for a long time. You know, you might want to come out and try a different position, because obviously he wasn't coming out in the pool. My water broke in the pool, but the baby wasn't coming out in the pool. So I got on the bed, tried to do it a little bit on my back, pushing. I probably could get two good pushes. I could get 2 good pushes with the contractions. When I tried to do the third one though, I never had like enough oomph, enough energy to get it out. So it was always 2 good pushes and a half a good push with the contractions. So then I turned around on my hands and knees, trying to get the baby out, trying to push. And I was really giving it all I had, literally. And then finally, when he broke through, he was stuck. Like his head came through, and I guess maybe his shoulders, but he was stuck. And I like pushing, but he wouldn't come out. So literally they had to flip me over off my hands and knees. And the midwife, I'm pushing, and the midwife literally had to pull him out. It was crazy. It was amazing, beautiful, crazy, stressful, surprising. But he's here. He was healthy. It was a completely natural birth. And thank the Lord I didn't have any tearing. No tearing. I didn't even have to get 1 stitch. And I'm so grateful for that, because that's always my fear right there. If I tear something, I'm like, Lord, I don't even like stitches. I don't think I ever had to get stitches in my whole life. Oh, actually, I did have to get a couple stitches under my arm and in my leg before. But I was in a car accident right before I found out I was pregnant with Zachariah. And the car T-boned my car. And I had some minor injuries. And that was the first time in my life that I ever had to get stitches. But other than that, I'm scared of getting stitches. I don't want none. So I'm glad that the baby came out healthy. I'm glad that the midwives and the nurses knew exactly what to do. And I'm glad that I had a natural birth with no tearing. I got exactly what I wanted, you know. And I would like to say that after I gave birth to the baby, I didn't have to take any medicine, but I kind of had to take some ibuprofen because my insides was in pain. Like they were so tender, like my stomach area and like my back and things like that. It was like somebody tenderized a steak. Like they just took a hammer and hit the steak up. So I was just so tender and in a lot of pain. So I had to take ibuprofen for a couple days after I had the baby, just to get everything back right, just to stop some of that pain, because I couldn't even sleep at night. I had to stop some of that pain and then just some of the swelling that I had. But other than that, yeah, it was all good. It was all good. So that's my birth story. Yeah. So also, you know, this is an important part, because when we were at the birth center, I think they keep you for 6 to 8 hours and then they let you go home. So Zachariah was breathing kind of fast, breathing a little rapid. So they suggested that we go to Grady, to the NICU, to make sure everything was all right with his breathing. So that was just, they called the ambulance and we went over to Grady and we let them check him out, and they decided to keep him for like a day or two. I think 48 hours they kept him. And of course we were there the entire time. Didn't have to take our eyes off of him if Papa was watching him or I was watching him. And so we literally hadn't been home for almost 3 days, for over 3 days. The first day we was giving birth, and the next 2 nights we were at the NICU. So when we finally got home, it was just like a sigh of relief. It was like, I'm glad to smell my house. I'm glad to lay in my bed. I'm glad to eat my food. You know, I'm glad that the baby is healthy. I'm glad to spend some time with my other son, Zoar, and let him meet his younger brother, Zachariah. So, yeah, that's my birthing story, and I'm sticking to it. So, thank you guys for kicking it with me, taking the time to listen to my birthing story. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. But yeah, I pushed out a 10-pound baby, and I feel stronger than ever. Like I'm already healing up just fine. I think this is day 10 after pushing him out, and I feel great. I feel great. So, today's the 26th, April 26th. So, to anybody who would like to have a baby natural, I definitely would suggest going to the Atlanta Birth Center and seeing if they have any availability. That's a wonderful place to have your baby. And, you know, they're really caring and they're attentive to details. I really like that about them. And it is possible. It is possible to have a natural birth, to push out your baby natural, as long as you're preparing. Oh, one more thing that I did do was, before my baby came out, when I knew it was close to the due date, I put olive oil on a pad and wear the pad for a couple of hours and just switch it out. And it is supposed to help with tearing. So maybe that's why I didn't tear, because I was really doing that olive oil. At first I used coconut oil because I didn't have any olive oil. Then I went to the store and bought olive oil. So I guess it's whatever oil that you have available to you. But that is one little tip that definitely helped me, because I had no tearing. And he was a big baby. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And stick around. stick around because I have more stories coming soon on my channel. Peace.